Check, 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 check.
And
check,
let's
check,
start with Bo.
check,
Bo,
check,
go ahead.
Check. Can you hear me? Check, check. There we are. There we are. I know. Got my notes. Got my. All right. All right. Everybody ready? There we go. All right. Live from Atlanta. Welcome to After the Floor, our post-show contestant panel. We just finished, we're live in Odum Amphitheater. We just finished watching the premiere episode of The Floor live on Fox. And tonight we have 4 of the contestants, 4 of the 81 contestants are here in the building. I'm going to bring them up and we're going to talk to them. So let's go ahead and bring up Will. There he is. Yes, yes. So let's bring up Elena. Everyone, let's hear it for Elena. That's right. Good deal. Next up, we have Cher. Cher, all right. And finally, Mondo. Bring it on up. Here we are. All right, this is exciting. We are joined in this studio audience by friends, family, and neighbors. So if you guys want to give it a big cheer, there we go. Everybody, lots of good support here. And tonight we're going to hear some exclusive behind-the-scenes stories from folks who have actually been on and played this game show, this brand new hit game show from Fox, The Floor. I've got a lot of questions here. I think, though, sitting in the audience watching the premiere, there were a lot of questions that I was hearing all around me as well. So I'll go through some questions. We'll make sure that other folks have a chance to ask questions. But before we get started, let's go ahead and just say our name. I'd love to hear your name and your category, because categories was a big part of the episode. And I think there's probably a lot that we'll have to say there. But what was your category, Will?
Hey, folks, I'm Will Odum, and yes, I was on that episode a lot with sports equipment. But I was not challenged, so I'm still alive.
That's right. That's good.
Hi, I'm Elena Mayberry, and my category was children's books. Glad to still be there.
Children's books. All right.
Hello. I'm Cher Kekio, and my category was child stars.
Stars. Okay. Idioms. Wow. With an M. That's good. That's okay. Well, so I think one of the very first questions we have that a lot of people want to know, because here we are, we've got 4 contestants. There's this brand new show called The Floor. We've all seen game shows, and you think, well, I guess I could try out to be on a game show. This game show, as far as we knew, didn't exist until tonight. So how exactly did you end up on this show? Elena, let's start with you. How did you end up on the show?
Wow, I'm still blown away with how I got on the show. I signed up with Central Casting in Louisiana while I was still in New Orleans, and I was like, let me just create a profile. Like, let's see if I can be an extra or something. Let's see if somebody wants my face. And during Essence, a casting director reached out to me and was like, yes, we want you to do this Zoom and see if you'll be good for this trivia game show. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. And so we kept going through the process, and I ended up on the show, and I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, it's crazy.
Plus, the USDA
That is awesome.
Exciting.
on ground beef products for possible E. coli contamination.
Oh, yeah, what kind of questions did they ask you?
They showed me a PowerPoint, and they just asked me different trivia questions, like different categories. And they were like, well, you did pretty well. And I was like, did I? And they were like, yeah. And they were like, okay. And they were like, we think you'll be good. I was like, okay, great. So.
And did they let you guys know early on? Like, was there a waiting period? Was it like you tried out and then later you found out you made it, or was it kind of an on-the-spot deal?
It was, I would say for me, it was maybe like a 5-week process, and I had a series of interviews. I had the one Zoom, and then the other interviews, and then like the asked about my background, and
Of course.
yeah, and what I felt like I was really strong in, and I was like, well, I'm a school teacher, like children's books.
So
I
what do you
don't
think
know.
of my training now?
I just want to be on the show, right? So, and they went for it. So I was like, okay, great, let's go to Ireland.
That's awesome.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
And the rest of you, a similar story? Was it were you a part of a casting process?
I was not a part of a casting process, but I actually, in high school, I was good friends with this girl. She goes by the handle Kid Cadet. Her name is Heather Riker, and she also used to host a trivia game show in Florida where I grew up. And she reached out to me on Facebook, actually, and wanted to know if I'd be interested in being on a trivia game show. So I said, maybe not. So, like Elena, I also did an interview with questions and passed the trivia test and waited a while, to hear that I got selected.
Yeah.
But yeah, my process was a little bit different. I guess I kind of knew someone in the business.
That pays off.
I've got a friend in the TV business.
So, Mondo, at what point did you know that this was a show called The Floor versus you were on a game show?
Ask your healthcare provider.
Yeah, are we good on that one?
Violent crimes are happening all over Atlanta
Oh, am I
at an
having-
alarming rate.
I was victimized. I was assaulted. It should have never happened.
I wanted justice.
You need an experienced,
so I-
powerful law firm fighting
Similar
back for
experience
So I
in
put
that
my trust in
Kid
Gary
Cadet
Martin
also
Hayes
reached
and
out to me.
Associates.
They
I
took
didn't
care of
know
me every
her,
step of the way.
Settlement
but
solved
I
a lot of
do
problems.
board game
And I
design
could
stuff
take the
on
time
just
I needed to heal. There was
niche
no
enough,
fee
so,
until the case settled.
I'm attorney Gary
She found me there.
Hayes. Call me now.
it was
1-800-911
very
to
weird.
discuss
Like,
your case.
I wasn't someone that was looking for that, Have someone approach me and be like, "Hey,
The
there's
mother
an
of a
opportunity to
boy
be on
who was
television."
murdered 25 years ago
There's
in DeKalb
probably not
County
an
is set
opportunity to be on
stand
television.
trial
This is probably a phishing scam, but like,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
see where it
Generally,
goes.
that's what you think.
But after that first interview and then the second interview and the third interview, and starting to talk to companies who had
in 2022 after authorities got a break in the case.
This is a real thing.
It was very
cemetery at the corner of Clifton
very
Springs
guarded.
Road
There
back
was a
in
lot of information that they didn't
1999.
share about the way that the game played. Basically,
Okay.
I think
This case is a prime example of what can happen when somebody has a gut feeling and stays with it. We were
Right,
looking
right.
for his identity.
But once we
She
got
was
onto
looking for him.
the shuttle
We were on parallel
with other
paths,
contestants, I was there
and we
with
didn't
4 other
meet up
contestants.
until now.
If convicted, Blackfish's life
At least we're not the only ones getting
without the
kidnapped.
possibility of parole.
So, show of hands, who tried to figure out what the show was going to be, or tried to? Yeah. You obviously want to try to get an advantage, right?
I figured it out.
Okay. All right, Will.
You read if you read the fine print on the application, you go back in there and see the floor. And so I Googled it right away and saw that there's this version that grew by wildfire in the Netherlands, and that 6 countries had bought it.
We don't want
And so I tried to learn.
any-
I tried to learn as much as I could. I tried to buy the
rash
episodes from the
actions
Netherlands
that
to watch.
could
But I failed.
trigger further
Nick
violence.
Sandoval, who represented musical instruments, succeeded. So we actually
really?
watched the whole.
Somebody was able to get to the show itself.
Some VPN, something crazy. So, but someone did see it ahead of time. The Netherlands couldn't get any like captions or anything. So
I was gonna say, yeah. Did he need language? That's great.
I'm Rob DiRienzo.
Yeah. No. It's a good question. So, Kid Cadet is good friends. Got to know through another show. A friend of mine named Josh Randall, and the Casting Collective LA was contracted by Fox and Eureka Productions to cast The Floor. And Josh, my friend, gave Heather the opportunity as an intern to find contestants, and Kid Cadet was responsible for at least half of the contestants on the show. So props off if Heather Riker is watching. She came up with this whole thing. I knew Josh and knew from another show, so it was kind of a starting point. I had about 2 months at that time, which was kind of weird. But we all took that quiz, right? Like we all.
I had about a month, and I still was like, I don't know if this is real or not. Like, my parents were like, "You're going where to do what?"
I was gonna ask about family. Yeah, that's the check on is this real or not.
I almost turned it down, actually.
Wow.
Because of the family aspect. So, I have a 22-month-old daughter.
Oh.
Yeah. So at that time, I'd never like really left her for anything, and especially
Business
once
can happen
I figure,
virtually
okay, so I
anywhere.
got selected for a game show. We
But
live
there's
in Atlanta.
nothing like
It's either in
being
LA
there.
or Atlanta. That's
Right,
what I
right.
assumed.
You can skip
And then
the
they said
counter
it would be in
and
Ireland.
choose
So I was
any
like,
car
oh,
in
I'm
the
not going
aisle.
all the way across the
Yeah.
pond.
Yeah.
And by the way, Cher,
So you can
both
give some
Snake
quality
Whale
time
and
to a
We Are
quality
Family
cause.
were filmed in
Swing
Atlanta.
by to see one more customer.
So we drew the short straw, and I was like, okay, we're going to Ireland.
But Cher,
That's kind of
Go like
a
a
plus
pro.
too. Though,
yeah, I was
right?
gonna say you've done like travel blogging and stuff like that. I imagine that was.
I've been to Ireland before.
Okay, I was gonna ask.
Right,
Whoa.
to Dublin before, but still, I did initially tell them that I was not going to participate because
Yeah.
I didn't think I could be away for that long,
Yeah.
and that far, and leave my daughter with my husband.
She was strong. She had
You
some
did
weak
it.
moments, but she was strong.
But then I was like, okay, it's fine.
Let's go do it. That's great. So, okay, so it was in Ireland. It taped. It's a 10-episode season, but it taped across a week. Is my understanding? Okay, who had been to Ireland? Anybody else besides Sharon? And do you feel like those of you that hadn't been until this, do you feel like you actually went to Ireland, or did you feel like you went to a studio? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of half and half.
Okay, so you get to go back.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to go back. but
And
I
maybe
still
if
got
you
to see
win,
some of
I
it.
mean, we don't know, you might be able to visit. Okay.
If I win, I'm buying a first-class ticket out of there and flying home. That's not going to possibly go, high class up there.
Direct flight.
Direct flight, exactly.
They did not give us direct flight.
No, a lot of connecting.
Now, your initial consultation and first treatment with our licensed medical providers are completely free. You'll see instant results right here in the office. Call Priority Men's Medical Center now at 404-263-0287.
Make the resolution to get better sleep this new
Okay,
year
that's
with
good.
a new mattress from Ashley with 0% interest through January.
Yeah, your last day. We all had a last day.
You're here.
Everybody
I mean,
had
the
a
show's
last
over.
day.
You have a last day.
Mattresses only at Ashley.
We're hearing tonight from a lawmaker who was targeted in a swatting attempt on Christmas.
You need to go back.
At least 6 similar incidents happened across Georgia over the holidays.
Swatting refers to what happens when someone calls 911 reporting a dire emergency that
Got it.
actually
Got
does
it.
not exist. There are now proposals to make
Okay, so you
the
get
act of
there.
swatting
At
a
what point do you realize
Fox
you're on a
News'
game
Rob
show,
Durian's at
and
the
we've
live
all
share
seen game
one
shows.
state
You're on a game show
senator's
that
experience
has
with this, Rob.
a whole lot of other contestants, like a whole lot.
So I would say when I arrived, I befriended some people at the airport.
We arrived together.
We did
Like,
arrive
we were
together.
We were on the same flight in.
And so everybody's like kind of looking at each other's side eye, like, I think I'm going to be competing against you. You know, like, are we going to be friends? You know,
But also there was this like whole, we're Americans in Ireland.
In Ireland, yeah.
And it's like us versus them.
It was.
And I'd read a report at the airport because I connected through Boston, and someone stopped me in the airport and said, "Did you know that the violence against Americans in Ireland just jumped
That was
up
a thing.
all of a
That was a
sudden?"
thing.
Wow.
And it's like, "Are you kidding me?" And now we're
Like someone got robbed or something.
I don't want to leave your
Like,
side.
The week before we came, like they had some armed robberies of tourists or something like that. And so when I got there and I'm like by myself and I'm like, okay, well, hey. And so I mean, I think it was great, and I don't think the network intended on us to meet each other and befriend each other. And so I think that was like really cool. So when we got to the studio, like we had all bonded and connected and started exchanging information. Yeah, so
we had 2 days before we got to the studio.
Yeah.
And so that helped. And we're all in the same hotel. And we're all Americans in apparently a violent Ireland, which I didn't expect at all. So yeah, we got to know each other.
So very terrifying for them.
Oh, that's a great question. Our categories.
Yeah, Mondo.
Some of us did. Some of us kept it to ourselves until we got to the studio. I think I was very transparent because everyone knew I was a teacher. Well, everyone was asking, well, what do you do? I'm a teacher. Oh, okay. So
Your
what's your
kids'
category?
book.
Yeah, okay.
It's not a left or right issue, but we've got to elevate
And I think
more serious
a lot of
crimes
people
to put it
shared.
into.
Some people did try to keep it
Senator
secret.
tells me he's meeting with Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones tomorrow to start working on this new bill ahead of the start of the session. He also wanted to express his thanks to the Georgia State Patrol and the Gwinnett County Police for how they responded that night. The GBI tells us its cyber crimes unit is working with local police in each of these incidents to track down the culprit or culprits. At the lab desk, Rob Durianzo, Fox 5 News.
Rob, thanks. Let's talk about our weather now with Chief Meteorologist David Shanley. Off to a January feeling start for the new year, David, but nothing too out of the norm.
Yes, as we know, it can get really cold this time.
It's cold.
Indeed, and so these temperatures are down below the average, though, so it is kind of rather brisk.
So did you cram the night before once you found
Yes,
it?
yeah, we.
A little bit.
I think actually about
But these are certainly
week
the things that
before,
produce snow. So if we had the
they
colder
gave
air,
everyone.
Yeah,
They sent
yeah.
out an email that gave
but right now,
everyone a
we're just dealing with cold, dry
of
conditions
all of
across the
categories,
region.
and
Yeah,
they
we're
told
looking
us this
at
is
mostly
like
clear,
your
kind of
umbrella
41 right now. We
Got
topped
it.
out
But
at 54
a
today.
group of
That's
categories.
right on target for this time of year.
Okay.
Going
We had a
down 30,
little
that's
bit
a
of.
So you
bit
had a
down
little bit
below
of
the
time,
average,
but you had
and the
to
dew point's still hanging out in the
basically
20s, so the
cram
air
all
is
of those.
really
And then
dry
the
with
night
just a hint
before,
of a northwest
in our
wind.
meeting,
Look how
that's
cold
when
it
they
is up
gave
in
us
Blairsville,
our
27,
actual
33 in Rome,
Okay.
33
There was
in
5
Carrollton,
pages of categories.
29 down in
Oh my
LaGrange.
God.
I mean, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
when
you're
you
just
see
like,
that whole.
yeah,
you're like,
where do I
hey,
begin?
no. Terrified. And the other one is we got our categories, but we did not receive the floor layout. So we knew how the game worked, that we were going to have to challenge people around us. But all we knew was our category. And it wasn't really until just it was like an hour before they shuttled us down in the Irish rain from our green room building to set that we figured out, okay, so I'm going to be next to the guy who happens to win the most territory in the first episode. Great.
So, Mondo, you mentioned you're a game designer. At what point? So you see all of a sudden, okay, this is a very tactile, physical layout. What was your take on that? Like, how did that physical aspect of this play out? It's not just you go up to a thing and answer questions, but you've got a whole. You're standing next to people for a long time, I would assume.
So you
I thought it was fascinating, especially
now this high was Arctic high, and we had temperatures right now well down into the teens and 20s. Well, this would be a mess right now. Well, that's not what we have.
And then I was surrounded by categories I wasn't super confident in.
You saw the
but I knew that if
temperatures
I
up
could win
above
maybe
freezing,
1 or 2, now
and
suddenly
we're
have access to these.
see some scattered showers, mainly south of I-20. Now I want you to look up here in the mountains of North Georgia. Temperatures are actually going to be in the 40s, but where the precipitation comes out of the clouds, it may come down as a few snowflakes. That's late tomorrow night.
Yeah.
This is just clearing all
Get ready, guys. Get your Amazon accounts ready. It's going to be a board game before you know it.
The moisture's all gone, so no
I
winter
think
weather
if it does really
this
well,
go
then,
around. And by the time we get into Thursday, we'll see quite a bit of sunshine.
Yeah,
Still breezy and
that's
cool,
cool.
though.
So, Elena, you're on the
below
board.
average.
You're
Now, let's
standing
jump ahead
there,
to Friday. We'll see
and you're
increasing
standing
clouds.
there,
Let's
and we
jump
just
ahead to
watched an episode
Saturday.
where you just
There's
stood
some
there.
weather, especially south and
Like,
east.
that's a lot of stand. Were you literally? Were you always standing?
Out Saturday
Yes.
afternoon.
Wow.
Kinda
Yes.
quiet on
Yes,
Sunday.
the floor is all about
Quiet on
standing.
Monday.
On the floor.
Big storm system gets in
And
here
watching,
along about late Monday
all
night,
of these
Tuesday
different
morning.
things
Man, that's going to be some
like right
heavier
there.
rainfall right there. That's
So
the
you-
Yeah.
So they were
Oh,
dancing.
so some people we did
Keep the
that.
blood flowing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Not much.
But I was
Less than a
stressed
tenth
out.
of
I
an
was
inch.
overwhelmed. Like, it was
Saturday,
overwhelmed for me.
not
With so
much
much
going on.
action
Heavier
happening
to the
right
south.
there. It was a lot.
And you're close to the
Tuesday
front
right
too.
now,
Like
my
you're right
gosh.
up there. I'm
inches
chilling in the
of
back,
rain.
just
That
hanging
is
out
the
watching.
intense. I
So
was
we'll tune
intense.
that as we get closer to it.
Watching it again.
You and I, we were good because we were on the other side.
Yeah, you guys got that strange other side. We were picked on all night long, and I think we left that first episode because we filmed the first episode on one day alone, and then we started filming multiple episodes a day. We left that first episode. We were pissed. That was like, are you kidding me? Everything's gonna happen on that first side of the stream. No.
Lots of camera time. Way too much.
Yeah.
So you're saying during that first episode you were kind of off to. It sounds like you were kind of happy. You were happy to kind of sit back.
Absolutely.
Okay.
For sure. Every time the randomizer went up, I was just so happy that it landed on their side and not ours.
Okay.
For sure.
Until I spoke to him later, it was just, devastating to know that they would allow my son to be on the ground.
Yeah, that it was going to be around. You bet. Absolutely. Once I understood. But I think one of the things we started to do once we figured out the floor layout is figure out if I'm randomized, what's my plan? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I happen to have reality TV directly behind me. So my plan, if I was to be randomized, which you will find out in future episodes, was I'm going for reality TV. That's what I'm going to do. Because I know either that happens or someone's going to play me in my category. So I'm going to build up all my report in my category, study that, and then let someone come to me or take on reality TV.
Mondo, what were you going to say? You were saying something?
Thousands of pounds of ground beef products have been recalled due to a risk for E. coli. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says that nearly 7,000 pounds
It's just,
I mean, specifically like that
by
process.
Valley Meats on December 22nd.
It's just,
Especially that first episode.
Number of EST5712
oh my gosh.
printed on the USDA marks of inspection. The affected products were shipped
Yeah.
to Illinois,
Yeah.
Indiana,
Please don't.
Iowa,
Please
and
don't.
Michigan.
Are you thinking if I could make it a couple episodes further, I'll be more comfortable?
Consumers are urged to either throw away the product or return it to the store.
I don't want to play.
Harvard President Claudine Gay steps down, bringing
Yeah.
an end to the shortest presidency in the university's history. More on why she's leaving.
A new poll finds nearly half
Yeah.
Cher, how appealing was that 20,000 though? Because that's an interesting twist, right? It's not just the end prize, but it's the kind of episode-based prize. Did that start to make people want to? At least in what we saw, it looked like some folks were motivated by that. Were you motivated by that eventually, or?
Eventually, yes.
Yeah.
Because initially it was on the other side of the floor, so I didn't have a chance to get
Would have been
it.
nice.
It would have been nice, but yeah, eventually that was definitely a motivation to play for it. But again, that's a lot of strategies involved with that because you really only get that if you have the most territory at the end of the episode.
Right.
So you could have a good episode and still not end up with the most territory.
Anytime, straight from Fox 5. Brought to you by Delta Community Credit Union.
Yeah. And then you're on our side, and you can have access to that or be deported the very next day out of Ireland and not leave with nothing.
They were looking like, please don't pick me. Just don't challenge me. Just leave me here. Like, you don't know children's books.
or do the whole, like, I'm intimidating. I know so much that you don't even want to come and try me. Get about it.
Okay, Elena, at what point does Rob Lowe enter the picture? When do you realize, oh my goodness, Rob Lowe is the host?
We didn't find out that Rob Lowe was. I didn't find out that Rob Lowe was the host until like right before we went into the studio. That second day. I didn't know.
You didn't know?
I didn't have the inside track.
Well, no, they announced the night before in the briefing.
In the room?
Yeah.
Elena was she was studying, she was cramming, she was reading children's books.
I had just moved to Atlanta like a week before. It was a lot. It was a lot going on.
And then you go to Ireland.
And then I went to Ireland. So yeah, well, okay, we found out at the briefing when we found out how the game worked. And I just was like, wow, I'm in Ireland.
Yeah.
And Rob Lowe's gonna be the host.
Yeah.
You know. It was still just a blur. Like I felt like I was dreaming the whole time. Like,
Fever dream was the key word.
It was.
I never want to hear it again.
The word, the phrase fever dream?
Yes, no more of that.
It might have gone around. Yeah, that phrase might have been used just a
You'll
little
hear it.
too much.
Okay, so I'm still stuck on Rob Lowe because it's
So
Rob
was
Lowe.
I.
Yeah, right? All right,
Yeah.
sure. So, do you get any? Was there any contact with him outside of playing the game?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
not even a
Of course
little
He had
bit.
a handler.
Yeah.
He did.
And took him off stage.
Oh,
Did
massage.
me good.
Yeah, but they started providing the massage therapist for us, theoretically, towards the end. Towards the end, because I know that Matthew at Athletes was like, I'm ready. I've been standing way too long. This is it.
All right, so you're standing next to people all day long. You've maybe met them, it sounds like. Certainly before the first episode, maybe not as much, but you're standing next to these folks. Will, did you become enemies, friends? What was it like knowing that this is your competition to your front, back, and left and right?
I said earlier that I had a plan. If I was randomized, I was going to go after reality TV. Now, the guy who had reality TV, Adam, was from LaGrange. So it's another, these are the Atlantans on the floor, but there are other Georgians on the floor, too. I told Adam I was going to come after him. So he knew, and I tried to put it in a nice way because Adam's a great guy. And so after we got that out of the way, everyone was friends around there. You know, at least for me, I'm right by Barbecue Mark. Got to give a shout out to Barbecue Mark. He was just on NPR today. Great guy too. Christian, Christian just got knocked out. I've gotten to know over the last few weeks. Our Montana boy, our youngest contestant, he's a bit of a social media sensation.
Well, today a federal appeals
yes,
court
holy cow. There are some people like, not everyone has a share level of following where you got like, 150,000 or you're above that. I think, it's like, wow. But yeah, friends.
And I think that was, like, I think a lot of us, because the odds were so low, I don't think that many people that I spoke to went in with the mentality of I'm here to win.
Yeah.
You see a lot of that in the interviews because they pushed us to talk like that.
Okay, interesting.
But I feel like it was really amicable. Like everybody was like just excited to be there, and
they wanted drama, and you're just like, we.
They wanted.
That's
exactly
drama,
for sure.
That's exactly.
We got specific coaching several times of like, hey, you guys, you're competing against each other. Yeah, but I'm not going to win.
I think there's an interesting part to that where they did not expect it to be non-competitive and for us to love each other. But I started to figure out that was the big selling point of the show. So I approached one of the executive producers. Shout out to Keith Geller. He's awesome. I've connected with him since the show. But I told Keith at the end in Ireland that this show is not about people wanting to eat each other alive. The show's about strategy, about human interest. And I saw that in the first episode, that it wasn't, there was a little bit at first where they had some of those interviews and they had coached that out a little bit, but I think they realized over time that's not what sells this show. That's not this show. If you want to enjoy the floor, you're going to enjoy it because you're going to meet some incredible people and see this insane game and see strategy, trivia prowess, and a little bit of luck too. The per diem.
We got a free trip to Ireland and $25 a day.
There you go. That's.
We've got another question in the back there. Yeah.
The hardworking Chevy Silverado with the all-new high-tech Chevy Trax.
Yeah.
Whatever your plans are this season, do more in a new Chevy. Get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Equinox models.
The audience members.
Or use your Red Tag bonus cash to get $1,000 total cash allowance on this Equinox.
Georgia drives Chevy. Find new roads.
Did you hear about the Taylors? They're gigillionaires now. Oh, yeah, their new Wi-Fi.
So was there something about the category selection that made sense in terms of what an audience might want to see?
That's a really good question, and I don't know about you all, but I think the category part was the most complicated and maybe even the most controversial. One of the things that they discovered down the road, let's go back to the first episode. Up until Jasper was randomized and started challenging, every time the person who was randomized always lost because they played in the opponent's category. And at least in my area of the floor, that was the discussion. I don't want to be randomized because that's the stroke of death if I'm going to play someone else. And I think that the game makers and the designers and the producers figured that out a bit in advance. And so they didn't want to give you games because you're a games expert. If someone comes to you, you're going to win. And that's not an interesting game. I think the same thing comes to comedians. They got Gene, who represents comedians, he's a comedian to us. He's hilarious. Cher Mondo and I had dinner with him back in September, but he's not a professional comedian. There were at least 3 professional comedians. None of them had the category comedians because they're an expert in the category and it wouldn't have worked. They wanted to advertise the show as a show about trivia experts in obscure categories, and that concept would not have worked. And so instead, people who love trivia and are trivia experts in general, but the category is a bit of a surprise.
Rather than just
Also,
this
your question
nebulous
is interesting
online
because,
portal that goes to
it
nowhere.
is made for a general audience,
and I've
so
seen the worst. Delta Community Credit Union is by far number one.
Could not be too difficult. Could not be too
Real estate
obscure
experts
or
say
people watching
2024
it
could
with
see
interest
more
to
home
not
sales
necessarily
and better mortgage rates.
But potential home buyers may not see major changes in the market to help them. Realtor.com says mortgage rates will average in the 6.8% range this year. While availability is expected to improve, you may still have to pay more to get that home. The National Association of Realtors says the median home
Hammer,
price will be more
Motown
than
Philly.
$350,000.
But they did get progressively harder with each duel.
Yeah.
Like the approach to the trivia was different, and it got really quirky. And it's like, how are they going to introduce this topic? Like, what's it going to look like? So, as you saw, it may have been like a missing word or a picture, or it got down to like metaphors and like just.
There's more stuff on the way. We won't say
They got
it now.
really,
but it
really
gets-
creative with
yeah.
how they presented the question.
There was really a very American Irish audience.
They got paid more than we did.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
They did.
After a few days off, when they take on the Thunder, they will be looking to stack consecutive.
No, they were a good audience.
yeah.
They didn't yell at us.
Anthony, the showrunner, came out ahead of time. And shout out to Anthony Carbone, who's done a great job. He worked on Wipeout, The Floor is Lava. Yeah, he came out ahead of time right before we started, and he's like, yeah, please don't shout out Anthony.
Mr. Shaw, that would have been for you, I believe.
Yeah.
Turning those L's to W's. Although there's some moments that I wish we could do.
Reputation. The reputation precedes him.
We've got just a few more minutes here, and I want to make sure that we have more time for audience questions. Any other burning questions from the audience? All right,
I want to
Mr.
eat
Shaw.
better. I want to get more sleep.
Did they pay for your flight?
Yes, yeah, that's very important.
That means
Thank God.
And
the room.
So we're looking forward.
Some more wins. With Jalen Johnson's return.
Rob
Private jet, first class, something.
They found in Washington and stack some more W's in the new year.
We love.
Going. That's a great thing. So I just got to keep playing my game, having the trust from my teammates and coaches. That's helping the confidence.
It's been good to see, even though he missed,
There were moments where they told us to plant our feet in baseball.
He's someone that's easy to
Oh,
play
that's
with.
interesting.
In fact, they would animate the LED floor with, and that's a huge.
Was it the same fidelity as on screen, or was some after?
No. It's the
post-production
same.
stuff?
That
Really?
LED floor is actually like a modern marvel.
Wow, that's pretty
It
cool.
was a huge deal. The producers were more excited about the LED floor than any other aspect of the show. They're like, we've been playing on this LED floor for weeks now, and it's the coolest thing ever. When it was time to film, they would illuminate footprints on the floor where we should put our feet and stand forward.
And they have a lot of wins. There's something the Hawks will be looking to do in the new year.
Bunch of little feet.
Exactly. Positions. And Mark, the stage manager, the fun sponge.
The country officially declared for the NFL draft. Brock Bowers has been one of the most prolific tight ends.
We could look at it, but that would be detrimental.
So what you don't see is there are actually 3 screens on stage, and you need to look at the wide shots. And there are 2 TVs at a 45-degree angle on either side of the big one. And the best part about those is that each contestant in the duel has a TV. And when it's your turn to answer, only then do they put your image on screen.
Nice. That would be really nice.
And so, one of the things you saw is passing gets hard. You pass and it's still your turn. And so,
Remember that it's still your
exactly.
So
All right, good stuff, Shock. Thanks.
And you're supposed to look at your screen and know it. But you know what they didn't have on that screen? Timer.
For one set of twins in New Jersey, they won't even share the same birth
Not on
year.
yours.
Fox's
I think it was on the big screen.
Big screen. On my, I don't recall seeing
Ezra was first.
Yeah.
His baby.
And you're going so fast, you have to make a head turn, so you want to make sure. Yeah.
Humphrey, born 40 minutes
minutes apart at
It just had to be a blink.
But they don't share a birthday. In fact, they don't share a birth year.
God, it seems
Ezra was
short.
born at 11:48 p.m. on New Year's Eve. Brother Ezekiel.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I think got one back there.
Okay, we got another
It's going to
question.
be the most challenging, right? You tell somebody
How'd you do with the
twins,
jet
they
lag?
wanna write down the same
question.
date. Oh, no,
First
they're
night I
born different
slept.
days,
So I
different
guess
years,
that's how I
too.
handled
That's
it.
going to be confusing.
Yeah.
And then they're going to say
Mondo,
we're twins,
no.
and people are
It
going
was
to
like
say you're
6
lying.
hours?
6 hours. Yeah, 6 hours.
That's why we had. That's why we had a
Shares a
day
birthday with his
when we got there.
My birthday's New Year's Eve, and when she woke me up the morning of New Year's Eve, she said, "Happy birthday. I think my water broke. I need to go to the doctor."
Well, that hotel, restaurant, and bar down at the Clayton Hotel was pretty nice too. It was like- we visited a ways afterwards. We talked strategy. I think my story on that one comes back to my best floor friend on the floor. You guys are some of my best friends, but Hannah Johnson, who's one of the youngest on there, and Hannah and I are really close. Well, Hannah and I met at the airport when we arrived too, and Hannah wanted to go see Dublin. And so I gave her my phone number, and she wrote me, and I got back to the hotel, and I fell asleep dead for 7 hours. She had been blowing up my phone trying to figure out what's happening, and she thought I was the worst person on planet Earth coming up. And I wake up the next morning, or wake up 7 hours later, and it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, like, oh my gosh, what happened? Yeah, jet lag was a factor.
Well, guys, thank you so much for answering all these questions. I know we have some folks that need to get home for kids and stuff. Maybe one last one. Just you guys know who wins. Could be one of you. We don't know. What do you think of the winner? What's your take on the winner? Cher, what's your take on the winner?
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
Very happy for the winner.
Okay, that's good.
Very happy they have $250,000.
The first time
Yeah.
I finally felt grown
Yes.
up was when I walked in.
We're all
My
in a
beautiful
big
pantry
family
was like,
group chat.
Yeah, that's how you know you weren't you left, but you were able to kind of keep up.
Yeah, we were deported.
So you're going to be seeing footage potentially. If you're not if one of you isn't the one that wins, you're going to be seeing footage.
Well, one of us is not the one who wins. Only one of us could win.
That's right. You'll be seeing stuff that you didn't experience, so that'll be fun.
Oh yeah.
That'll be
Oh
really
yeah.
fun.
I will say the winner, from my observation, is the person who seemed like they studied the most. That was my observation.
Feel less sluggish and weighed down after just 14 days. Sign up for the 2-week challenge at metamucil.com.
Yeah.
In order for small businesses to thrive, they need to be smart, efficient, savvy.
I was the
Making
same
the
way.
most of
It was
every
like
Not very
opportunity.
talkative.
That's why Comcast
With
Business
me, at
is
least.
introducing
Did
the
she talk
small
about
business
you?
bonus. For a limited time, you can get up to a $1,000.
We don't know.
Oh snap!
Switch to business internet from a company with
No,
the
you never know.
Very focused.
Elena's good
She's
at mind
throwing us
games
off.
too.
Very
Good at mind games.
Plus, ask how to get up to a $1,000 prepaid car with a qualifying gig bundle.
Second place got nothing. Unless second place, the 20 grand.
20. And they could have gotten multiple 20s. Maybe.
If I'm remembering the math right, there's a $430,000 of prize money up for grabs. 250 goes to the winner, and then 20,000 for the winner of each episode, unless there's a tie, and then you split. However many people tie for it. Of the 20,000.
MSC Cruises.
Well, again, thank you guys so much. I understand, Elena, there's somebody here that has a talent that we haven't seen tonight. We've seen a lot of talent. Who is it that maybe is it somebody that you brought along?
Yeah, so my daughter is a singer. I'm a singer too, but she
Yes,
also
she is.
sings.
Are we able to get a little preview of that?
Chloe.
Come on up, Chloe. Come on.
We have Chloe, y'all. Let's give Chloe a hand clap. Woo!
Chloe.
Senior citizens receiving Social Security benefits can expect an increase for the new year.
This is Chloe, everyone.
Chloe. All right.
Recipients will receive an annual cost of living adjustment of 3.2% beginning this month.
I was told to put you on the spot, Chloe. So I
He's been telling me since I arrived.
Okay.
For a bump in payments as a result of inflation, but it's a much smaller increase compared to the last 2 years.
A major milestone in medicine could be a game changer for children with cardiac issues. tissues. A study published Tuesday in the JAMA Journal found the tissue used in a partial heart transplant surgery in 2022 has grown over time. Owen Monroe received a historic procedure when he was just 18 days old. At the time, his heart was roughly the size of a strawberry. Doctors say the now 20-month-old has a heart that's as big as an apricot. The new blood vessels and valves had developed along with Owen, which researchers say could prevent him from needing additional surgeries in the future. After Spalding County Sergeant Mark McIntyre was shot and killed in the line of duty, the community has been left devastated.
And now they're coming together to support his family. Fox 5's Tyler Finger has more on how they're helping.
Downtown Nutrition.
It's been a busy few days for Danielle Stamps.
What's she gonna get, honey?
With orders pouring in for a special drink. It's a bright blue beverage that's not just quenching people's thirst, but also their desire to honor a fallen hero.
I thought it was just gonna be something small. We could take the sheriff and be like, this is because we love our officers. But it's
okay. All right. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful.
He was murdered while doing his job.
Even if it's trying to stay on the work so fast. I mean, whatever it is to help ease their pain.
Since Saturday, Griffin's Downtown Nutrition has sold
great.
more than 100 drinks.
Does that mean our time's up?
Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Good night.
She's working with the Spalding County Sheriff's Office.